Series 1, the most controversial of all SCP series. Now don't get me wrong, I love Series 1. They're simple and to the point, and they're still full of that deep lore and intertextuality that keeps people coming back for more. Plus, there is no way that the SCP canon would exist in the capacity that it does today without the groundwork laid out by these early stories. Many of these entries have plenty of power today and are referenced in the newer series too. You gotta respect your roots, right? It's easy to compare the early writing to current entries though, and sometimes the difference in quality is pretty noticeable. Some of the Series 1 entries are basically litmus tests for new SCPs. If your story involves something as overpowered or canon defining as Abel or Cain, maybe reconsider. And of course, there are some entries that really divide the community. SCPs like 049 and 173 have brought countless fans into the SCP realm, but they're viewed by some as poorly written and entry level. Oh, internet, always so divided on every topic. Hello horror heads and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're taking a look at the top 5 best SCP monsters from Series 1. Keep in mind that best is subjective, and if your favorite didn't make this particular list, it's not the end of the world. Unless yours can cause an XK class scenario, and then very well might be. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more SCP stuff. Let's get going. Starting off our list at number 5, we have SCP-682. The flesh-hating, life-ending reptile 682 is probably one of the most well-known SCPs going. You'd be hard-pressed to find a list detailing the most dangerous, scary, or hard-to-kill entries without 682. To this day, there has been no confirmed method of killing it, and there are a lot of experiment logs chronicling the attempts to do so. A lot. This large, vaguely reptile-like creature of unknown origin is extremely intelligent and has actually been seen engaging in complex communication with a sentient supercomputer. There'd probably be more reports of this type of communication if 682 didn't hate all life. When asked why it killed a group of farmers, it gave its now iconic rationale through its destroyed throat: they were disgusting. With high levels of strength, speed, and reflexes, all displayed through various interactions with other SCPs, this lizard is a force to be reckoned with. It can gain energy by ingesting anything, organic or inorganic, and its physical body grows and changes very quickly by consuming or shedding material. On top of all this, 682 has regenerative powers previously unheard of. It has been seen moving and speaking with over 80% of its body destroyed or rotted away. Although the base entry for 682 is very simple with a whole lot of edgy energy, it remains an iconic and beloved SCP. The extensive experiment logs and stories associated with the entry pit 682 against all sorts of other fascinating SCPs with various results. One of my personal favorite interactions is between 682 and a certain squishy SCP, but we'll get to that in a bit. It really is hard to imagine the Foundation without our favorite invincible lizard. Coming in at number 4, SCP-055. I want to believe that this is one of the best SCPs from Series 1, but if I'm being honest with you, there's no way for me to know for sure. Really, I have no idea how to describe where this one fits in. It's not that 055 is indescribable or invisible, no, nothing like that. I just really can't remember that much about it. Somebody was telling me that it was Keter, I think. Sounds about right, doesn't it? But for real, this one has far-reaching implications that seem to multiply the longer you think about it. SCP-055 is an anti-meme, or a self-keeping secret. This means that information about its appearance, nature, behavior, and origin is self-classifying. Again, it is observable. People can look at it, take notes, shoot photos, even video record it. But once they leave the containment chamber, any information will just leak right out of their brains. When questioned about 055, individuals who have previously been exposed will lose interest and claim to be unable to remember anything about the interaction. Containment procedures and even the general purpose of the containment chamber are unknown. This chamber is actually quite easily accessed, but on-site personnel will claim no knowledge of its existence. This is periodically rediscovered, of course, and this usually leads to a great deal of alarm. This state of concern will only last a couple minutes before being forgotten though. 055 may present a major physical threat and could very well have killed hundreds of personnel, and we would never know it. Even if it is physically harmless, there is a major mental threat involved as well. Compared to a lot of the other Series 1 entries, 055 is a very nebulous, existential threat. We could all be under its influence and we would not even know. We wouldn't even know that it was possible to not know. What was I talking about again? What number are we on? Right. Number 3. SCP-106. The Rotten Old Man. No, not your next door neighbor. SCP-106 is an elderly humanoid with the general appearance of advanced decomposition. While not exceptionally agile, this monster will incapacitate prey by damaging major organs, muscle groups, or tendons before pulling them into its pocket dimension. It has been observed remaining motionless for days, even months, before beginning its hunting behaviors. Foundation members aren't totally sure why it remains dormant for so long, but some speculate that it is a lulling tactic meant to draw prey in before it attacks. 106 also causes a corrosion effect in any and all solid matter it touches. This can take the form of rusting, rotting, and cracking, plus it leaves behind a sort of black mucousy substance. This goop is particularly detrimental to living tissues and is thought to be a pre-digestion action, just getting you ready to be consumed. If the ability to decompose all it touches wasn't bad enough, this elderly gentleman can also pass through solid matter, basically disappearing until it decides it wants to manifest in our world again. This is how it enters its pocket dimension, where it will then play with its captured prey. 106 seems to hunt based on desire and not hunger, and it will collect multiple prey objects and keep many alive in the pocket dimension for extended periods of time. Limited observation in the space-time anomaly has described it as being comprised mostly of halls and rooms, and nobody's sure if it's something that was created by the SCP or if it's where it spawned in the first place. The decrepit old man also appears to have full control over time, space, and perception inside this dimension. This man has Kamui, huh? Now, all these powers make SCP-106 very hard to contain, but get this. The Foundation will keep it relatively sedate by using a very disturbing containment procedure. At the end of a long period of dormancy, 106 will begin to move again. So the Foundation will jump into action and periodically leave some bait inside an unused containment cell. This bait is more often than not a human aged 10 to 25, which will then be majorly injured by Foundation staff. Once sufficiently hurt, the cries of the human will be broadcast via PA, and usually within 10 to 15 minutes, 106 will appear and snatch up its latest victim. Then, hopefully, within that containment cell, it will enter dormancy once again. What a perfect illustration of the brutal methods employed by the Foundation. Keeps the world safe though, right? Thank goodness for amnestics. Filling out our number 2 slot, we have SCP-835. I think this is one of the more well-written SCPs in Series 1. The original entry has plenty of expunged data, but that is elaborated upon in some revised reports. The uncensored after-action report is an extremely effective short horror story on its own, even without the added context of the original report. I would highly recommend checking out the full entry. SCP-835 is a large mass of coral polyps weighing many tons. How many tons? I don't know. While incapable of locomotion, this is a very strong and dangerous SCP. It will anchor itself using large tentacles projected from its polyps and can actually damage plate steel with these extremities. The coral itself is extremely hard, requiring the use of high-powered diamond drills to collect even small samples. It grows at an extremely accelerated rate, adding up to 50 pounds of mass each day. Foundation members are to feed it only at regularly scheduled intervals to prevent excessive growth. Oddly enough, this aquatic anomaly is made up of basic human biological components. The shell is formed from super dense calcium, the caps that cover the polyps are coated with tooth enamel, and the tentacles appear to be formed from mutated human tongue cells. Most human biological systems are also present in this weird mouth thing, although most are extremely mutated. The digestive and reproductive systems remain intact and are actually linked together. Feces and reproductive fluids are collected and ejected from the same chamber, kinda like a bird's cloaca. A gross human octopus coral bird thing. Nice. Anything that comes into contact with this mortifying mixture will undergo a variety of terrifying physical changes, eventually culminating in assimilation with 835. There is no known treatment to reverse these effects, and even attempting to damage or kill those under the influence of the splooge is a bad idea. If you strike it with enough force to crack it open, the slurry would spread anyways, causing additional infection. Like 106, there is no real way to contain this monstrosity, so the Foundation keeps it sedate by feeding it a human every once in a while. Some claim that you can see the faces of all of 835's victims within its openings. Nightmarish, to say the least. And finally at number 1, SCP-999. Of course, there is no other possible choice for the number 1 spot. The final entry in Series 1, SCP-999, is a lovable, vivacious slime. This orange gelatinous mass is absolutely adorable and just makes everyone's day a little bit better. Playful and dog-like SCP-999 will react with overwhelming elation when approached. It will slither over to and jump upon the nearest person, hugging them with pseudopods while gurgling and cooing. This peanut buttery blob often emits different pleasant odors ranging from chocolate to fresh laundry to even Play-Doh. Anyone who comes in contact with 999 will experience immediate mild euphoria, which will intensify as exposure goes on. It'll interact with anyone, but has a special interest in those who are unhappy or hurt in any way. Persons suffering from depression or PTSD have reported having a more positive outlook after multiple slime sessions. This little blob of goo loves all animals, especially humans. In fact, it even refuses to eat meat and will risk its life to save others. It took a bullet for someone once. Literally the MVP. Give this lad all the candy and sweets it wants. Which, incidentally, is all it eats. M&M's and Necco wafers are its favorite. But whatever you do, don't feed it caffeine though. You ever see a kid on a can of Coca-Cola? Nobody needs that. If all the facts I've already stated weren't enough to convince you of the life-altering happiness this slime ball can bring, consider this. At one point, it was brought in to see SCP-682. The Foundation wanted to see if 999 could curb its omnicidal rage. 682 was observed stating aloud how happy it was over and over again before falling asleep. We'll just ignore the laughter wave and concurrent slaughter that happened afterwards. So if this squishy fellow can make the most life-despising creature on dear sweet planet Earth chill out for a little while, imagine what it could do for you. He's my little pal and there's nothing you can say to change my mind. And that, my friends, is the end of our list. What did you think of my rankings? Did I miss an important fixture in Series 1? Are you a bigger fan of the old school SCPs or the newer ones? Make sure to let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's have a look at some of your more illuminating ones from last time. Rainy Day says, my mom grabbed my foot and I accidentally kicked her in the face because I was watching this. Ouch. What's scarier, SCPs or realizing that you just kicked your mom in the face? People's Dominique says, mispronounced the hero hunter. Oh boy, sorry. I assumed it was pronounced like a French wolf. You know, I've only read the manga. I watched season 1, but you know, season 2 came out a little later and I haven't caught up. Lou66666 says, if a bug crawls in my mouth and then I start growing spikes, I'm setting myself on fire. I'm way ahead of you, Lou. I've got my flamethrower on standby, just on a tripod right beside my desk. Azur Lord Pyro says, how do I become an agent? I am proficient with blades and throwing knives, some practice with guns, and I love your show, lol. You just keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure the Foundation will come to you. Be careful what you wish for, though. And Ronald Nanyos says, Keegan needs a life. Badly. Man, I've been doing this all wrong. Up until now, I've been seeking death, not life. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.